So today you will do this makeup with me from start to finish while I tell you my story, my entrepreneurship story. Let's get started. First of all, I was born into a family of entrepreneurs because my parents were business people. So I have business in my blood because I grew up having to join my parents to the market where I saw how they did things. My parents were in Onitsha at that time. My dad sold at main market, Onitsha. Yeah. During my secondary school, first of all, that was where my life as a businesswoman started, as an entrepreneur started. That time when we had my friend and I, my best friend and I, we put 3K together and bought Motorola phone. And we started business center in school. That time, a minute used to be 40 naira. So we charged people to make calls, to call their parents and all of that in school because we were in boarding school. It was such an amazing experience because, to be quite honest, that money solved a lot of problems. We didn't need pocket money like we're big girls in school. We had everything. So luckily for us, I don't know whether it's a good thing, but we had, this is dark. Wow, this is too dark for me. We made a lot of money. In fact, from her own end, she's already a business person too because she's from a business background as well. Her parents were into transportation business, so we were just two business background people met together and we kickstarted from where our parents stopped. We enjoyed that doing that in school a lot. Luckily for us, I don't even know whether it's a good thing, but we had a student in school who really volunteered to help us do this business. I know she was chopping our money, but she was really eager to assist us to do this, and we had a good time. My foundation is a little bit dark, so I'm not going to contour my face. I'll just go ahead to conceal my face. I'll be concealing it using my Huda Beauty foundation in Toffee and mixed with Fenty foundation in 330. So these two, because of the consistency of these two foundations, it's easier for me to use. If you're looking for a full coverage where the under eye is bold, where the under eye is full, foundation wouldn't do that exactly. You will need concealer for that. Because I am so used to natural makeup, I just love it because it gives me that seamless, flawless finish that my makeup will still look good and soft at the same time. If you're trying to achieve a body kind of look that will give you that full under eye, it's proper concealer you need. But if you want a soft finish, something that is seamless, you can go ahead and use foundation to achieve that, but it has to be a thick foundation. So I combine thick foundation with a lightweight foundation because I've realized that if you go in with just the thick foundation, it might be hard for you to blend it. Another business that I've tried is when I was in the uni, I sold palms. So I had this friend that used to make palms. He was in town, so my uni was a glorified secondary school because we're living inside school. So I would pack some from him, enter school, and I would sell. And I also had clients that I could sell to outside school. So I was really selling the stuff. But because it's a male business, it was a very high risk for me, so I had to stop. I'll encourage any young girl that wants to do business, just slightly stay away from male-dominated business, especially when you have to deal with only male, until you know that, okay, you have a proper system in place that you wouldn't put yourself in trouble. And that was it for that business. I had to stop because of the risk. Another business that I now tried was my dry cleaning business. I started really small. I started with having just a domestic machine, which really didn't cost so much. Give and take, I started the whole business, both the rent and everything. I started with about 700,000. So I rented a shop, bought a domestic washing machine and a dryer. That was in 2015, so things were quite affordable. My rent at that time was, I think, around 200,000, and I bought a washing machine of about maybe 200 and a dryer of about, I can't remember, I think 150 or so, I can't remember, but they were Samsung products, so I bought them and I started using them. Do you know that this dryer is still in use until today? I still use that dryer. So when my business was going well at a point, you know, when you start something newly, you won't really know how to go about it, especially an industry that you really don't know so well. But I was engaged with a lot of things. At a point, I had to leave town. But by the time I left town, you know, you set up a business and then you have to travel. Coming back, you might not meet exactly the same thing, especially when you don't even know the business properly. You've not mastered that business. At that time, a lot was going on in my life. I'm preparing for my NYSC. At a point, I was pregnant. Like, a lot was going on, and I didn't even know my left and right in that business. I was just trying it out for the first time. If you're not available, if you're not 100% involved, especially when it's something new and the people you employed are not exactly the people that fit in properly into the system, you're going to have a lot of problems, because I went through all of that. An opportunity came for me to do this business in a bigger way, buying industrial machines and all of that. And to me, I thought that would bring a break into this business, because I was beginning to understand the system. I was beginning to understand the left and right on how this business was running. But the biggest issue was that I didn't have a good management that was able to handle all of this when I wasn't available. And there was no more funding for me to even do it, even when I had the opportunity to expand into an industrial form of the business. The business started going down. It means that I didn't structure the business properly when I was ready for expansion. When I was ready for expansion, I wasn't ready fully. Like, the business wasn't prepared for that level of expansion, because I ended up acquiring only industrial machines. I didn't set up at least 2 years rent, or at least 6 months worker's salary. I just went ahead to set up in a bigger space, and a bigger space, bigger machines that requires a whole lot to maintain and all of that. And the business, the overhead cost of the business became way higher and no longer sustainable, because rent didn't just triple, it became times 30 or even more, because I was now paying for a bigger shop space and all of that, and having to maintain the equipment and having to maintain the workers and all of that. So it wasn't sustainable anymore. And coupled with the fact that I left town, at a point I had to go to America to have my baby, and coming back, everything was already a problem. People advised me to shut down the business. I got a lot of advice that I didn't even know what to do, but the best I could do was to lower the cost, the overhead costs, remove everything that wasn't there, and go back to how I started the business from the beginning. So I shut down that particular system that was running and went back to the format that I started with, that was actually working, but in as much as it wasn't easy, it was a bit more sustainable, and that was the system. I sold the machines and went back to square one, how I started. And guess what? I started understanding my structure, started understanding. By at that point, I've already had years of experience in this business. So the number of years you do something is also very important. The earlier you start, the better, because you get to experience the failures, the issues, you throw the whole tantrums and all of that. So, but before then, when the business was already failing, when it was still in the big structure form, I was running out of cash. It became a problem trying to sustain the whole system. I was looking for what next to do to be able to sustain myself and sustain at least another source of income. And that was what led me to become a makeup artist. So I started makeup at 2019. I've always loved makeup. I have always loved makeup. In fact, each time I travel, I always buy new products. I always buy new foundation and all of that. So I used the opportunity to make use of the products I already had to start, because I knew how to do my makeup myself. So all I needed was to know how to do it on other people's face. So I started with buying a ring light. I went to apply for internship in some beauty studios. I went to Elsa's. I met a lot of amazing makeup artists there. I had someone connected me to this other lady, and I went to her studio to learn how to, just to intern for her, not to learn, but to do internship, because at that point, I didn't even have a spare cash to be able to go and start paying for any makeup school and all of that. So I started with internship, going from one place to another to intern. Honestly, to today, having that handwork, that makeup is still paying me, because I began to understand the structure behind the business. Going to do internship was very helpful, because I understood and started learning how they run their system and all of that. Until today, I still make money out of makeup and my dry cleaning business. And now again, I am now a visual artist. So me going to learn makeup, I didn't abandon what I already have existing. I knew that this thing was suffering, but I didn't want to shut it down, because I still remember the reason why I started dry cleaning business. I know it's a high demand industry. I knew that people definitely want their clothes washed. People don't have energy and people don't have time for all of that. I wanted to solve that problem. So I was willing to stay still. I was willing to wait. I was willing to just do some other things that I would just, until I find my feet again. And guess what? Today, I'm able to understand the structure behind running a dry cleaning business. I came to understand that having you can have the whole equipment in this world and still not get it right. And I can tell you that with little you have, you can go a long way in whatever industry that you're in. Till today, I haven't even done any other makeup school, but I try to make sure that I am up to date. I see what people are doing, and I just hang around the people doing what is right, and before you know it, I'll master that same thing, and I keep going. To be quite honest, it's not everybody that is privileged to do all of those classes and everything, but I want us to seize the excuses of, I don't have money to do this, oh, and that's why you should just stay. No, let's end all of that this year. Let's start pushing. Let's move forward, because nobody is coming to save you. You will save yourself. So how do you do that? You pick up the opportunity that you see around you and run with it. There is no time to waste time. And my experiences has taught me that The earlier you start something, the better for you, because if you start early, you have time to fail. And the moment you fail, you're close to getting it right. Even if you fail 10 times, fail again, don't worry, keep going, because I can tell you that I have failed. Even in the makeup industry, I have also failed. But handwork is one thing that would always come true for you. You can never go wrong with the work of your hands. Any country, anywhere I go to today, I can make my money because God has put work on my hands, and I must work, and I must get my money. I must be paid. So yeah, again, I became a visual artist. I'll tell the story about my visual artist, how I started, what led me, how I was able to get that light bulb that I am a visual artist. I'm going to talk about that in another video, but for now, we're going to end this because I don't want this video to be too long. Let me finish my makeup. And that is the finished look. You like it. So in any situation you are at the moment, don't feel stuck. Just keep going, keep doing that thing you're doing, and find another way to advance it. And if you comment below on any question, I'm ready to answer you every details, anything that you have to ask me as a beginner, as an entrepreneur. I know this journey is not easy, but we're not giving up. We're staying consistent and we're moving until we get it right. Let's keep going. So if you want to see how I achieved this leap, check my previous video and be on this journey with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.